Hi, I'm Catalina Maria Johnson here at South by Southwest 2013 on behalf of Beat Latino and Gozamos. It's a pleasure to be chatting with two of the members of Pumcayó, Federico and Saul. So hi guys,
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
So it's great to see you here at South by Southwest all the way from Guadalajara. And tell us a little bit more about Pumcayó. I mean, first, the band name is very unusual.
Well, first of all, you have a perfect pronunciation of the name, so that's great. We've had a couple of interviews and it's just one thing to get really hard. For some reason, with the accent and everything, people don't normally know how to say it, but so it's...
My mom is from San Luis Potosí.
Of course. So is my father. So is my father, yeah, from San Luis Potosí. Well, we had a long drive and we're all from Guadalajara, Mexico. We've been playing for 3 years, and the name...
Yeah.
The name... Well, the name, as you might know, it's a sort of childish wordplay, and we're using the onomatopoeia pum, as in thump, and then cayó, which is like it, he or she fell.
It's not that complicated. It's like just the things that.
But how did you choose it?
Well, we have a sort of a local secret story in the band. There's a lot of mystery to it. It's very fitting to the way we approach the music, and it's very fitting to the way we approach the music. It's got a carelessness to it. We thought it was just fitting. Not that it's childish. In fact, if you listen to the lyrics, there's a lot of dark mood to it, and sort of dark themes on the lyrics as well sometimes. But it was just fitting to the way we approach music, with this kind of like carelessness and kind of informality.
Well, tell me then about the instruments that you play, and then sort of the other members of the band, and how would you characterize your sound? I loved it, but it has a lot of unusual flavors.
Well, I play the acoustic guitar and I sing. Federico plays drums and sings, and the other guys, we have 2 electric guitars. And it's not a static, well, and a bass player. But the thing is that it's not a static lineup. We used to change of the instruments. We like to introduce certain instruments that are kind of crafty, we can say it, and that that's part of the sound that we look for. Well, it's not like our main goal, but it's part of the process. Like the way we approach the songs, it's in a crafty way, in una forma artesanal, no? So that can be a fact that can distinguish our sound.
And were you music students? Did you come together as music students or as friends, or how did the band get started?
Friends basically. Yeah, we didn't study music. Federico and I are architects. Yeah, in fact, yeah, yeah. And the other guys have other professions or careers, but friendship is what put us together.
Now, that's interesting, the architectural background. Do you see how you compose music a little bit the same way you approach,
it has
a blueprint or a building, or I don't know, or...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, project. It has a lot to do. I mean, in our formation as architects, we have like composition values that can be translated to music. No,
tell me about some of them.
Rhythm, contrast, harmony. Yeah. Those values, you just have to. Well, it's not. That easy maybe, but can be translated to elements of music, silence, sound, certain notes.
Even more subtle things
keys.
like not blunt like resources, but even sort of the interest in giving music certain structure and coherence and kind of like the way we approach, for instance, how we put together the set, and like we're recording an album, and the way we're approaching it is we're trying to give it certain coherence to the whole thing, and in the structure as well, and there's a rigor as well to the way we do things, live and on stage, and even if you listen to the recordings, sometimes they would sound a little sloppy at times, and that's fine. We live with the quirks, and we like them, and we think it's part of the sound, but there's also this interest in working with certain rigor, and that totally, at least in our case, comes from our formation or school, sort of our background. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always thought that the arts they come from one root.
Yeah, they cross over, and we think that has a huge impact in the way we do things, and we try to experiment as well. Recently, well, not recently, I'm sorry, January 2012, not recently, certainly, we did this thing live. We worked with Marcel Zama. He's a well-known visual artist from Canada. He shot a film in Mexico. It was super interesting. Do you know Marcel Zama?
No, not well.
He's amazing. He has these crazy illustration style, and he does a lot of craftsy work and models, and he just grabs hold of this theme and he explores it and he exhausts it, and then he moves on to something else. And at the time he went over to Mexico, he shot this film that combined these sort of elements of chess, like the board game, with ballet. So he shot this beautiful video down in Mexico that had these kind of violent themes with ballet and chess, but he also had these the paper mache costumes made down there, so it's a very kind of craftsy look. And we happened to meet him because one of our honorary funding members in the band, who is actually Juan Pablo, he lives in Austin now, and we sent a big hello to him, and we're super glad to meet him again. But he ended up working with Marcel on the film, so we ended up meeting him, and he liked the music, so he thought, well, you guys should compose one of the soundtracks for the alternative soundtracks for the film, and we went ahead and did that. But it was a super interesting experiment because it forced us to turn things around and to start from an image, to start from a theme, and all of a sudden we wanted to fit it with the beats and the rhythm and everything, and it had to fit exactly with the movie. And so we try to put ourselves in uncomfortable and different situations to work and approach music differently as well. And sometimes like we'll do things like, okay, let's try an arrangement where we come up with a beat or a rhythm or a rhythmic arrangement, and we translate that into guitar and see how you can grab an instrument like a guitar and play it like you would be playing a drum, and vice versa. So a lot of the beats and a lot of the rhythms are melodic in a sense, and a lot of the melodies and are very percussive. So we try to switch things around a lot.
I have a friend who's a guitarist, a Latin guitarist, and he said that actually in Latin music every instrument is played like a percussion instrument.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with it.
So maybe you're just kind of following along those lines too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now I'm interested in terms of the composition process. Do you compose all together, or is there a main composer in the group, or is it a collective process, or is it more individuals bringing their own idea? How do you go about your songs?
It's a collective process. There are like roots of ideas that come to the band, but these ideas like develop. It evolved completely with the other members. No, so something that started like in a melody or a really simple idea comes together and evolve to like a bigger sound, and the sound of Pumcayó.
Now, when you're talking about Mexican folk influences, do you draw on any particular traditions or any particular instruments, or do you kind of, how would you define the Mexican folk part?
That's, I think, the hardest thing to ponder on for us to ponder on, because we like the music when it sounds, when we feel it's honest and honestly Mexican. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to mix elements and to mix cultures and to mix sounds without adding a cliche to it. It's the hardest thing to do for us. And so I think what we do is we're not constantly attempting or trying hard to make it sound Mexican. It's just that things come up sort of naturally. It might sound bad or pretentious, but it really does. I mean, we don't draw on specific influences, but things feel comfortable to us because we've listened to this stuff all of our lives, and the musical part, for instance. Then there's the lyrical part as well, which for us it's huge. I mean, we're pretty new with this whole lyrical thing. A lot of music in Mexico is sung in English, and it's a big challenge to actually take on this Spanish and to try to write in Spanish, because Spanish is it's just hugely more complex than English. I mean, words are longer, grammar is more complex. You have all these monosyllabic words in English, and it takes so many less words to say things, whereas in Spanish you have to say all these things and babble so much to get a meaning across. So for us, it forces you.
It's very precise.
Yeah.
It's precise in a way that English never is.
Exactly, and it has a richness to it that you cannot achieve in English as well. And we also think it gives the music a freshness, at least to Spanish-speaking listeners, because you can explore different subjects and add content that you wouldn't get in an English song, because you're just used to listening to kind of all these subjects that are explored more often in English. And so for us it's very important, and also musically it starts modifying the way you compose music as well, because all of a sudden you need these longer metric on your song so that you can fit the words in it, and you realize that Mexican folk music is the way it is for a reason. You realize that it's the way it's supposed to be. It's like, it's honest, and it originated in a vast culture of language and all these things, and it's just congruent and coherent with the language. When you hear rock in Spanish, sometimes it works, but sometimes it's a bit odd, and it's because we imported it. So we try to balance that out. Yeah.
And let's one last question, and just emotionally, I mean, when you play music, what do you want to leave the audience with, or what are you hoping for in terms of communicating to the audience through Pumcayó's music?
The meaning that that we look for in our presentations has a lot to do with the lyrics we're developing. Yeah? The album that it's about to be ready. Yeah. It has this big story. No? It's a story that has to do with this famous character in a town, Mexican town, who develops certain relations with the rest of the town and start making stories. No,
that's an excellent reference.
Yeah, excellent reference. That's right. That's the kind of approach we're having with the stories of the album, and the set is of live set is organized in order to express the ideas or the stories in coherence with the album. You know? Yeah, and it has to do a lot with that realismo mágico that you just said.
Yeah, in fact, a girl approached Saul when we finished the show, and she said, "Oh, you guys, it was great. It was like reading Gabriel Garcia Marquez," and that's just perfect, because that's exactly it. I mean, if you come out of the show thinking that. I mean, it's huge. We don't want to be pretentious, but if we hear that, it's like, oh man, we're nailing it. We're nailing it, because this whole magical realism. Again, we think it comes from where we come. It comes from Mexico. It originated in Mexico. It couldn't have come from anywhere else. And if you come out of the show thinking that you got it, we nailed it. Yeah.
That's a beast.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with me, Federico and Saul. And if people want to know more about your music, where can they go? The website, Twitter, Facebook?
Yes.
All of the above?
We have an official website. It's fairly easy. It's www.pumcayó.com, and that'll take you to all of our social network sites. It's got all the music, it's got videos, it's got photos, it's got all the things in there, and we hope we can come to Chicago. I swear I think it's the second year we've been emailing people in Chicago in venues because we really want to go there. So we have to visit you somewhere.
Very, very soon. On behalf of Beat Latino and Gozamos and Catalina Maria Johnson here at South by Southwest 2013.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.